Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are
I'm
you?
doing well. Thank you so much for coming by our Lenovo pop up booth. We've been having really great conversations today with industry practitioners and experts about how we're bringing new life to the modern workplace. And most recently, as you know, you are part of a big research initiative that Lenovo did called the Lenovo Work Reborn Report. So, can you introduce yourself to us, who you are, what you do, and your role within Lenovo?
Absolutely.
Yes.
My name is Rakshit. I take care of the digital workplace solutions, offering and solutions organization in Lenovo. So I'm vice president and general manager for this business unit.
Fantastic. So let's get right into our conversation. I have so many questions for you, particularly pertaining to the report
Mhm.
itself. There was a statistic that stood out. It says the Lenovo Work Reborn report states 81% of leaders want a more productive, engaging workplace, but less than half believe they're actually delivering it. Why do you think the gap still exists?
And I'll say, this is one of the very interesting insights which we got through the report, right? I mean, most of the organizations, they want to transform, but the reality is they are struggling to transform. The reason why we feel this gap is there is because, most of these companies are focusing on the processes part and on the tools part rather than focusing on the people part or the employee experience part. So I think it's very important for every organization to realize that while they transform, they should not just think about the efficiency. They should be also thinking about how can they elevate the employee experience, which is most important parameter which this work reborn report is highlighting. In fact, one of the interesting takeaway, which I personally liked about the Work Reborn report, is around personalization. So that is one thing which is very important for us to deliver the creative best for the employees. It is very important that organizations think about how they can inculcate personalization into the digital workplace services.
Right. I'm curious to know, what does employee experience and employee engagement, like, what do they really mean? I feel that we hear these words just
Mhm.
thrown around. And what is our take on what that
Yeah.
means?
So interestingly, if you see, I mean, let's go a couple of years back.
Right.
Most of the organizations they were struggling, right, to how to deliver best-in-class customer experience, how they can attract and retain their end customers in whatever business they were doing, right? And then they realized actually, the most of the value which these companies are creating is through their employees, right? So that is where the focus on employee experience comes into the play. We want to make sure in 21st century one of the most critical asset for any organization are their employees, because if your employees are happy, they are effective in their business role, they'll deliver the best services for your end customers. So hence there is a focus on the employee experience part. Companies are trying to figure out how they can understand and unleash the true employee potential
Yes.
so that they can do the best services for whatever work they are doing for their end customers.
Yes. I think that's interesting too, because, in my opinion, from what I'm learning from
Mhm.
our report, employee experience and engagement are also directly affected by the vision that the organization paints for those team
Yep.
members, right? So, in the report, it stated that 55% of
Mhm.
IT leaders say a lack of clear vision was ranked as a top obstacle to transformation. So, why is it so hard for leaders to paint a vivid future, and what's the very first brushstroke you would suggest they start with?
This is an interesting question, right? I mean, if you ask me, why is it tough for the organization? Because to paint a vivid canvas is
Yes.
because the canvas keeps changing, right? I mean, by the time you paint, you realize the canvas has changed,
Or
right?
they change the way the paintbrushes that you use.
Yeah. And the reason is, the digital workplace is a very complicated aspiration which we need to drive within the organization. If you have to define a vision for a particular business area or a particular technology topic, it is still relatively easier to do. If you are looking for an incremental innovation, that is also easier to do. But digital workplace is all about redefining new ways of working for the employees. And that's not an easy agenda to go for, right? So from my standpoint, one key starting point for most of the organization should be around understanding the personas, understanding who exactly they are catering to as part of their digital workplace strategy. So as long as you know your employees, as long as you understand this transformation is all about employees, it would be easier to remove complexity out of this equation and see how we can create a tailor-made roadmap for the transformation of the employees.
Because you touched on this earlier, and the report has touched on this. Like the personalization is key
Key.
here
Yeah.
because not all businesses will have a one size fits all
Yep.
solution,
Yep.
which I hear and understand can be a common mistake. Organizations will look at another a system or protocol and go, well, that could work for us. Let's just go ahead and try it. And then it doesn't. And then they go, well, I give up.
Yep. Yep.
Right?
Yep. Yep.
Have
Yep.
you seen that happen before?
Very often, very often. We have seen it very often. The fact is the future is all about one size fits you.
Yeah.
And if you see the traditional digital workplace support model, it's all around standardization, right? How you can standardize everything, how you can deliver it, something which is a minimal viable product,
Right.
which you can deliver at scale to your employee. That is all the workplace of yesterday. And the workplace of tomorrow is all about, bringing in the uniqueness of the business role, uniqueness of the work which employee is doing, and building that creative digital workplace for them. Yeah.
It's fascinating to me because for in the past, that legacy way of work was the only possible way to do it.
Yep.
How else would you personalize at
Yep.
scale? But what we're saying here is with the software technology and the processes that we're working with and providing and advising these businesses, we can make that possible for organizations.
Absolutely. We have our proprietary Lenovo's Care of One platform through which we can actually identify nano-personas within an enterprise. We can identify who are the users, what exactly are their needs, what is required to make them productive in their business role, and then we can deliver this service at enterprise scale for all of our customers. So it is really, helping our customers to build a proactive, preventive support model around digital workplace services which they can consume and they can deliver in their organization.
So entertain me for a moment because this is groundbreaking. Like this is not something that we've seen before,
Yep.
right? Can you give me an example for, let's say, maybe in the hospitality vertical, for example, a large organization or corporation approaches you and says, we want to do this. We want to personalize at scale. We're trying to break through our legacy model. What are some small examples of what that could look like maybe in practice?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think let's take this example, right? If
Yeah.
it is a hospitality client and they are
Yeah.
looking for a digital workplace transformation, maybe the first step, how we'll start the conversation with them, is to understand their current level of maturity around digital workplace services, understand who are the unique personas in their organization. They can be frontline workers, they can be tellers, they can be marketeers, they can be finance team, HR teams, understanding their unique requirements, understanding through the interviews and through the our proprietary technology that what exactly they need to do to become most effective
Right.
in their business role, and that's something which we can implement at scale, and then we can create what we call as truly agentic AI powered labor light support model for these customers through which they can consume any kind of a digital workplace services at scale. One of the very unique thing about Lenovo's model is we have something what to offer called as TruScale device as a service, through which we can actually provide experience as a subscription offering for the workforce of an enterprise, right?
Wow.
And when we say experience, we are basically referring to we can provide tailor-made devices, we can provide tailor-made software, we can provide the right amount of security, and all of this can be delivered in a fungible services model which enterprises can consume backed by business outcomes.
So let's take this a step further and maybe talk about the training side of it, right? Like, could somebody, and let's say in the hospitality vertical, like have an agentic AI system created that would allow their team members to be empowered and get training information from a system that gets set up for them that saves them time to have to learn and be
Yep.
trained by humans? Can you give me like
Yep.
some of that
Sure,
understanding? Yeah.
sure. See, there are a couple of things there, right? I
Yeah.
mean, first is, can system provide the custom trainings to the employees?
Yeah.
Answer is yes. That is all delivered through our Lenovo's Care of One platform. But I think the first thing is to address the skepticism within the workforce, which is very important.
Right.
Many a times it's important, it's not just about providing the right tools and trainings to the employees. It is actually helping them know why do they need it, right? I mean, how is it going to make them more effective in their business role? So that is where Lenovo's comes to the help, right? We can actually help organizations to understand their workflows need, help educate the employees that why do they need this particular training, help them understand and devise custom tailor-made change management programs for them. And that's how we can deliver the best of the technology and make sure that the workforce is up to date with the latest and greatest. And more importantly, they understand how this technology or this innovation is going to help me do my business role in a more effective manner.
So I've been hearing the word change management
Yep,
so many times today.
yep, yep.
In your opinion, what is true change management, effective and actually viable change management look like to you?
That's an interesting question. So, what is change management? Change management is, see, at the end of the day, we need to drive adoption of these technologies within the enterprise, right? And we need to make sure whatever vision we are creating around digital workplace services, each and every employee in the organization is actually sold on that particular vision and they have bought into the idea. So, change management for me is the program through which you can help align your vision percolate at the lowest level within the organization and see how we can have every employee heart aligned with the vision and they can see the value what organization wants to deliver as part of the digital workplace transformation program.
It goes back to that canvas. So we were talking about
Yep,
painting that vision and maintaining it as well too.
yep, yep, absolutely, absolutely.
So, final question for you.
Sure.
I think we can both agree it must be super important that organizations clearly develop and refine their vision of what digital transformation really is. So, that being said, in short, if we could end it in a simple way, how does Lenovo help organizations stop chasing those trends and design a digital workplace that truly fits who they are?
Yep. So, if you ask me, there is a lot which is happening in this industry around digital workplace, right? I mean, every month there is a new trend which will come into the picture. It could be around hybrid working, it could be around bringing workforce back to offices, it could be around Gen AI, it could be around automation. So many interesting things which are going on in the
Yes.
industry. So, it is very important for an organization to understand they are not just chasing the hot trend, they are chasing the right thing to do, right? I mean, and that's where Lenovo's come to respite. We can actually help organization to understand their business goal. We have a comprehensive advisory services to offer to our customer to understand what exactly is the vision which they want to carry around digital workplace services, and on that particular vision how we can then do a persona based configuration for them, and based on persona based configuration we can tailor made the right amount of devices, the right amount of services, the right amount of security, and provide it as an end to end stack for the end customers. So we have a comprehensive suite of services which can offer around DWS, and these services can really help organizations to transform and see how they can be the productive best, and they can actually focus on delivering the best in class customer experience because their employees are taken care and they are working in solving the business problem. They can attract and retain the best of the talent and they can make it happen.
Okay, one last question I'm going to
Sure.
sneak in for you
Hmm.
because it seems like, you're very passionate about this work that you're doing and that the team is doing collectively. And every Lenovo member that I've talked to seems super aligned on the vision. Just it starts starting from the top, right? But at the end of the day, like what motivates you, what lights you up and gets you excited to work with these customers? Is there a part of this process that gets you really excited and makes you want to continue this initiative and this work for that and this offering for the clients?
Yep. So I think one thing which excites me, and I think it's an interesting trend. It's a unique thing about the digital workplace services, right? I mean, you are catering to the employees, right? I mean, you are catering to the latest trends. You are catering to the changing employee expectation, which can even change in a fortnight, right? I mean, next year the
Right.
expectations can change. So I think it's a very dynamic domain, the digital workplace services, and this is one thing which really excites me because a lot of customers they want to embrace something new, and at the end of the day we are in the human centered service model,
Right.
And that's something which is very unique about our digital workplace solutions. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for dropping by our pop up booth today
Thank you.
to discuss this report. If any of you are interested in learning more about the Lenovo Work Reborn report and the insights, make sure you check out the information in the description below. And make sure to follow the Lenovo Work Reborn Tour Live, this podcast, for more amazing conversations about how we're bringing new life to the modern workplace.